My name is Tim Levy. I'm the editor of Capture and a freelance photographer. And Anthony McKee is a photographer, journalist, and a lover of NASs. So what are we going to learn tonight? The differences between a NAS, basic RAID hard drive setup, a JBOD, and cloud system. So interestingly, Amazon Web Services have just gone down in the last 24 hours. So everyone's going, hey, let's store our photos on the web. But look what happened. It's not a guarantee that your work is being looked after. So what else are we going to learn? How to set up a Synology NAS system. Our promise is under 15 minutes. So this is where a lot of people might think, oh, setting up a NAS is difficult. We're going to show you that it's not that difficult. And Anthony will walk you through that. I'm going to be teaching what a professional Lightroom workflow with metadata looks like. And as an editor, I get lots of photographs from professional photographers. No metadata, no file names, no folder names, no anything. It's just their work is a mystery and I'm just going to get lost in time. So I'm going to teach you how to solve that issue. And we're going to learn how to set up a photography archive on a NAS. So once you've finished importing all your images and naming them, adding metadata, keywords, what do you do with them then? So we're going to talk about that and how to set up an archive for your photographs that will probably serve you for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. But this is the problem that we're going to try to solve for you tonight. So why you need to archive properly. You need a long-term strategy for saving your photographs so they are safe and searchable. You need to invest in a setup to give you peace of mind. So you don't want to be a J-bodder like me. So this is the photographer's dilemma, is that a lot of photographers start off and they just have their one hard drive, and then when that fills up, you go buy another hard drive, and then you go fill up another hard drive. And before you know it, you've got a whole bunch of hard drives in a box. And then how do you find them? You might have a year date and you go searching through them. It's not the way to go. So ultimately, you should have a system like a NAS system where all your hard drives are compiled into one system so that everything is neat and tidy. And also you can expand on that in the future because, you know, like with modern medical science, we could be living to 150 years old for all we know. So you need to start backing up all your images and you want them to be searchable. So with this system I'm going to teach you, you can have your NAS system and you want to take find a picture of a cockatoo. You just type into cockatoo and boom, your image appears. So let's cut over to Anthony. This is Anthony's home setup in it's under the stairs somewhere. So let's watch this video and its way through it.
Yeah, so I've got two 5-bay NASs. I'm pointing at 2 bays on the left there. That's my security cameras. They run on those 2 drives. Then I've got 3 drives there that are an archive, one of my main archives. This is my second main archive. So I've got 5 hard drives stored in there, all running using Synology Hybrid RAID. They all connect into this router here. That's the wireless router, and it gives me wireless at the back of the house, and this little red cord connects to an Ethernet cable that runs through the house, goes to my router at the front of the house, again a wireless router. So this is connecting my NASs to the internet as such. So literally what I can do there is I've got connections front and back of the house, but that wireless network also means, you know, the NAS, I should say, with the Ethernet connections connecting to my routers means that my NASs are also accessible outside of the house. So I don't tend to access my NASs that often outside of the house. But one thing, if you just flick on the camera onto me for a moment there, Tim, I'll show you what happens on my phone if you want. And that is Tim. There we go. We're not going to click on me. You know what? Okay, people have to look at that little screen up the top there. You are? Okay then. But
Yeah, I see
what I
you're
can
on
do, this is mainly what I use here. So there, it's just going to be a bit out of focus, I think. But on my phone there, that's my security cameras, and I can access them off my phone. If I'm really keen to use my NASs while I'm overseas, I can using something called Quick Connect. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And the other thing that I use my internet connection for is that I can send my clients a link to their work as it's stored on my NAS. So I create up a little subsection on one of my NASs, and I create folders for my clients. I put their work into it. Then I send them pretty much I tell them what folder to go looking for on my system and a password to get into it, and they can access and download their photos at any time. And it's good for some of my commercial clients. And I think if you've got, I did a job a while ago for a youth orchestra in New Zealand, and what I actually did was I gave them access to my NAS as well, just to download the photos. And this means that you're not having to worry about sending data out to individual people. They can just come on. It doesn't affect your data usage that much, and it's a good way of working. Anyway, carry on.
Right. So now the thing is, in this point in technological history, you guys are very lucky because, like, when I started shooting digital in the early 2000s, a 1 gigabyte card was $1,000, and like the card you get with your camera was 16 megabytes. Now, a raw image these days is 20, 30 megabytes. So it was prohibitively expensive to set up an archive. Nowadays, you can set up one of these archives, and you can get a 16 to 20 terabyte hard drive for $500 to $1,200. So, you know, why you think you might be putting off building a NAS system, but actually it's actually a good time to start thinking about this and set yourself up so that this system will last you for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Okay, so why do you need to archive all your work that you're shooting? So there's lots of issues. Protection from hardware failure. So guess what? How long do hard drives last, Anthony?
Well, I was checking today, and I've actually got one of my NASs has got hard drives in it from that are about one's 10 years old, and another set of drives were about 8 years old. But they do last a very long time, so
Mm.
they're pretty good.
So a lot of them say 5 to 10 years. They do all have a fail rate, especially if they've got moving parts. So they do fail. You need to safeguard against theft, loss, fire, water damage, or accident. So, you know, people drop hard drives. You know, you can get a NAS system and have it offsite to another location. And digital threats, as I mentioned earlier, Amazon was attacked, and like even the capture website slowed down a bit because we run it through Amazon. So, uh, you know, having your own NAS system is like having your own cloud. Human error. So, um, you know, I've been backing up work, doing all the right thing, and somehow it started erasing. I don't know if it was a bug. I don't know what. I don't think it was my fault, but it's a whole bunch of reasons. So, like, let's put up your hand if you've lost some work on your hard drive and it's kind of disappeared somewhere. But this is why you need to back up to another hard drive somewhere. You should be backing up how many times, Anthony?
Well, the rule of thumb's always been that you should store your photographs in at least 3 different places. So these days, as a photographer, if I'm shooting an assignment, I write to 2 memory cards consistently on my cameras. Then when I come back from the office, I only remove the one memory card. But then what I do is I edit straight to my hard drive. I save the images to my computer's hard drive that I want, and then I'm fairly comfortable that my backup system, which is just Time Machine, will back that up again. So I've got my images stored in 4 places, and by the time I deliver the work to the client, I've got it stored in 5 places. But of course, then you get onto archiving your work, and so I typically archive to 2 NASs and 1 hard drive.
Okay, great. So what other storage solutions? We've talked about NAS. There are other things. You could have JBOD, which is just a bunch of disks. That's all your hard drives sitting in a cupboard or something. That's not the way to go. Trust me. Hard drive array, you can have something similar to a NAS, but it's not connected to the internet. Now, disadvantage is you can't access it. You have to be at home. On NAS, you can be traveling, uploading. Your clients can access it and stuff like that. You could, like Anthony, he runs a security system from. So NAS is like its own computer in a way. And yes, of course, you can use cloud. Look what just happened to Amazon. If anyone remembers what happened with Canon cloud system, maybe 5-6 years ago, 3 months in, lost everyone's data. Thank goodness it was only 3 months in, because you can imagine if it was 10 years. Sorry, everyone. So even though cloud seems like a great idea, it's not. It's no guarantee.
To some extent, I think you can think of your NAS though as your own personal cloud, because it is, it is just yours. You're not relying on sending it to a third party. So you do get that kind of control and management over it. And if anything's going to go wrong, you get to find out about it first. The built-in computer is very good at warning you when a driver's getting tired and might need replacing, and the details like that.
Mm-hmm. So the advantage of NAS, it's cheaper storage than cloud. You can access it anywhere. This Synology hybrid RAID, which is proprietary software, can repair, like just what Anthony was saying. If a hard drive starts to fail, you can just, as far as I know, you get an email, the thing starts beeping, and then you just swap your disk out. I mean, I've seen it happen at Google Cloud kind of has a similar system, but huge. Now, cloud storage can fail or be compromised by hackers. So storage solutions. So you want a centralized, expansive storage, scalability. So you can just add a NAS to your NAS, can't you, Anthony?
You can. So not so much that, but you'll notice that the NAS that we're giving away tonight, it's described as a DS925 Plus. Now the Plus actually indicates that you can expand this NAS later on simply by adding more bays. So Synology actually sell just a little array of bays that plug into your NAS, and it just treats it as an extension of the system.
Let's see, let's skip some. You can have this RAID configuration. Anthony will bring this up later. You can have automated backups. You have remote access, that client delivery talked about, cost effective in the long run. So you might be looking at cloud and going, oh, well, I can get cloud for this, but you're paying for that every month. And also it's like, you might get 1 terabyte of cloud versus with the NAS, we could get 10, 20, whatever. We get huge storage. Okay, but you've been building NASs for a little while, haven't you?
I built my first NAS about 10 years ago.
You've had quite a bit of experience. Personally, I have 2 NAS type systems. I've got a Synology DS220J, which is like a small 2-bay array, which is mirrored. And so my computer looks at that as another hard drive. So when I back it up, it's got 2 16 terabyte hard drives, and it's backing up to both at the same time. So if one hard drive failed, that's fine. I've got the second one, then I can just install another one and back that up. So and then I've also got a B station at another remote location. So that's just all my favorite exhibition work. It's not all my business work. So let's do a little unboxing here, Anthony.
Okie dokie. This is the DS925 arriving. First thing, make sure that you buy some disks when you get the NAS, okay? Because you are going to need to put some hard drives in there. This is a bunch of 8 terabyte drives that I'm just pulling out here. And we will get rid of the big box, and we're going to pull out this box here. Have a look inside. Okay, boring stuff just to get started with. I think there's a power cord in this cable. That's good. Okay, we'll put that to the side. Thank you. In this box here, we've just got the accessories that we need. So we've got our power supply. Now, this is an external power supply. My first NAS had an internal power supply. When that failed, I actually had to replace the whole NAS. So a little bit of a pain, but this is a good solution. If your power supply fails, just buy another one. Those were the Ethernet cords. This is a nice little set. This is the moneymaker. So what we've got here, this is a new DS 925 plus NAS, and you can see we've got the bays in the front. There's your power switch. There's a little bit USB connection. You may or may not use that if you want to upload USB content to the thing. There's your lights that come on at the top there, just indicator lights. On the back, you'll see there's a couple of fans. These do have a quiet hum to them. So if you can locate your NAS just a little bit away from your desk, it's not a bad idea. I'm pointing there to the power input. Just a power supply goes into that point there. Up the top there, we have our Ethernet connections. So you only really need the one, but there's two there. And we've got another USB connection. And being the Plus model, you'll see there that it says expansion on that little slot there, which it looks like a USB-C port. So that's putting an expansion in there. On the bottom here, we've got just a couple of slots. Now, in these two slots here, you can actually put in SSD memory. This is useful if you're doing a lot of video work and you need to upload work in a hurry and you want to, help out the drives. I don't find I need these kind of things. For photography work, it's all fairly straightforward. Okay, so to carry on, we're looking at the moment at the NAS with 4 drives. And I think it's frozen again, has it, Tim? Let's just check on that.
Yeah.
There we go. Back in business. Okay. First tip when you start setting up your NAS, or put the number of the drive and the date. And the number is where it's positioned left to right in your drive. We'll just speed things up here. So number 2 drive, and you can see I set this up in September last month, but put the date on. The date just gives you an idea of when the drive was purchased and how long it's while it's living. Putting the number on is useful because if anybody a young kid accidentally pulls out all your drives, you need to put the drives back in the correct order. Otherwise, your built-in computer is going to go, hang on, somebody shuffled the files on me, and it will confuse your system. To load these drives into the bays, literally you just pull off those little strips that you just saw me pull off there. Make sure that the electrical connections are going to go into the NAS. They're going into the deep end. The label should be away from the tray. You're going to put those clips back on. They should fit nicely, fairly straightforward like that. And you're going to put the number 1, fumbling around a little bit there. You're going to see that we're going to put the number 1 drive, I should say, into the first bay there, just like so. Checking, pop it in, and you're in business. And we'll speed up the video and we'll get the other ones through. Now, as a suggestion to people, if you are looking at buying a NAS and you're thinking, well, I don't really want to buy a lot of hard drives in a hurry, start with 2 drives. Just put 2 drives in, but make sure you're using Synology Hybrid RAID. And when you find you're starting to run out of memory, just put another drive in. That's all you have to do. And then another drive. We'll talk in a moment about...
Sorry, Anthony, just sorry to interject there. Some people can't see the video. Don't worry, we'll have a copy for you in the next while. So yeah, there's been a few people can't see the video for some reason or another out of our hands. But yeah, we'll
Somebody switched the lens cable on.
So sorry about that, Anthony. A lot of people.
No, that's okay. But look, it's fairly straightforward to set up the NAS. The main thing is that you just follow the instructions. There's enough information about that little QR code that I showed you before that comes in the box. That's got all the information on how to set up a NAS. There's so much information about it on the internet as well. So don't be shy of it. Anyway, now we're looking at another video. Hopefully other people can see this. I'm plugging in the power supply, plugging in the Ethernet cable into the NAS and into my network at home. I'm hitting the power button. I'm going to my computer and I'm opening up a web browser and I'm typing in findsynology.com. I think the main thing that most people need to learn about setting up a NAS is just to have a bit of patience. We're going through it in 5 minutes, but actually it does take a little bit longer than that. It'll come up with your device. Make sure it's your right device. It's not too hard to find. Click the connect button. It comes up with the license agreement. Click I have read the terms and conditions. We all know that's rubbish. And then it will go away. And the next thing it's going to do is say, welcome to your Synology, and click the install button. Right about now, it is going to say, we need to install Disk Station Manager, which is the utility software for your new computer. Type in the model that you're using, and it's written just above there, so it's not difficult to find. And your computer is, your NAS is going to download all the information it needs from Synology to get busy. So this takes a few minutes, and then it takes a few minutes just while it unpacks the software and the firmware and just gets busy. So we've sped that up a little bit here. And we can see that it's installing some packages into the system. And right about now, we are halfway there. Okay, so welcome to your Disk Station Manager 7.3. You're going to give your NAS a name, and it can be anything you want, really, but I'm going to call mine my NAS 925. You're going to give it an administrator account. Please do not use admin. Use your nickname. Use a name you're going to remember every time. Give it a password. Please give it a strong password, okay? Passwords are important because you are connecting your device to the internet. So please just use really strong devices. You're going to click into here. Next thing is we're going to create a Synology account. Put in your email address, click next, verify you're not a human. They will send, you're a human, I should say. They're going to send you a link, pump that in, and we're going quite quickly here. Again, your name, put in your name, whether you're a home user, and this is for your Synology account. The actual Synology company, put in a really strong password again. Just check it, have a look at it, make sure you've got it right there. Click next, and again, verify you're human. Agree to the terms and conditions there. Agree to the send me more information if you want. Okay, and it says sign in. When you do this, this is where you get to see yourself. Oh, hang on, I got ahead of myself here. Synology Quick Connect is how you're going to connect to your NAS remotely. Give it find a name that's going to be unique to the system, and I've used AM925 there, and you can see that it says it's giving me the information that I need to find my NAS remotely, and this is literally, you could be in Sweden and accessing your NAS in Melbourne. Okay, click these tick boxes here. These are the warnings and the supports you need to make sure your NAS keeps happy. And now it is connecting your system to the NAS. Okay, so first things, you can install the software if you want. Synology Photos is good for sharing bodies of work with clients. Two-factor authentication is good, but we're going to set that up later, another time. You can take care of that, people. Now we get to setting up a storage bay. Having put the hard drives in there, you now need to tell the computer in the NAS what you want to do with these drives. So we're going to go create a storage pool and volume right now. We're going to hit that start button. Okay, now it's going to ask you what RAID type you want. I use Synology Hybrid RAID, which is SHR. Very reliable system. Regardless if you've got 2 drives or 5 drives or whatever in your system, if any one of those drives should fail, it will give you protection. That drive, you replace that broken drive, and it will back everything up and everything's good to go. Give that system a name. Just so you know, SHR2 gives you 2 disk redundancy. Click all the drives, which we've just done there. That's for best effect. Click maximum storage there. We're going to click on that one. Again, you can put any name you want in there. Click OK. We are going to use BTRFS as our file system. Don't use external 4. Now, encryption for your system. Do not use encryption unless you're very good at keeping keys and data like that. Because in 10 years' time, if you can't find your encryption key and you go to do something clever, you might not be able to access your drive. So please do not encrypt your data.
Do your or something.
Yes, well, that's an option. Is that what that tutu is under your arm?
That is.
Okay, good. Okay, righto. So as of now, that is pretty much all there is to setting up a NAS. Now have a look, it says optimizing in the background, and you can see it says 0.1 there. And you'll actually, if you look at the NAS, you'll also see that the lights are flashing a little bit. This is your system taking the next 2 or 3 hours to think about what it's doing, to get set up. So please don't suddenly look on your network for the NAS, because you won't find anything immediately, okay? Give it some time. When all of those lights on the front of the NAS go solid, that's when we're going to start looking for your system. Now, we're going to do some housekeeping here. There is one specific thing that I recommend that you do as soon as you connect to your NAS. We're going to click up here on network. And when we go to network, you can see we've found our NAS in here, my NAS 925. We're going to code connect. We're going to put my password in. Just make sure you've got the right username too. And you can see that we've got a home and a homes. Very confusing stuff. You can see I've already, actually, I've got ahead of myself here. I have already put some folders into my home one. I have been inside just ahead of you guys. Homes and home. The home is actually your folder for everything. Homes is the administrator level. So if you've got other users in the account, that's where their home files will be as well. We are going to use Synology Assistant, which you can download, people, to find my NAS and go into the Disk Station Manager. I'm going to type in my username and my password, and we're going to go to Control Panel, Shared Folder, click on Homes, Shared Folder. We're going to click on Homes. We're going to click Edit. We're going to hide this shared folder in my network places. We're going to save that. And now we're going to close off the Disk Station Manager just by clicking those tabs. And we're going to go back to our Finder. You can see it says Home and Homes there. We're going to go back in the network a couple of steps. We're going to go back to network again. We're going to click on my NAS 925, and you can see now that it says Home, your root folder for your NAS. So please, that's where you're going to start putting your files in. So as you can see, I've got client work, family and friends, personal projects, writing, all stored in there nicely. And like Tim's going to show you shortly, the best way to manage your NAS is to keep all your files nicely organized. I used by year and I used by date and name on my folders. So in doing that, it keeps everything nice and tidy. I can find files by date. If I go looking for them, I go to the year and then the date I shot the job, or I can use, we're ahead of ourselves in this one, but don't forget, when it comes to setting up, use that QR code and it will come up with all the instructions you need to actually just get started on setting up the NAS. All the instructions are there. So keep moving forward.
Okay. So what I'm going to talk about is kind of what I teach at TAFE, and you know, I've built my own sort of system. I've watched a million YouTube clips on how other people do it, and this is kind of my own formula. I'm not saying before you, you know, I get some angry email saying you should do it this way. That it's just the way I do it. It works for me. And to be transparent, I'm in the middle of building my archive. So that includes old JPEG images, scanning images, and they're all going to be on my NAS system. So this is what I'm doing. So to start off, if you're using Lightroom or Capture One or Photo Mechanic or something, you've got to start getting a system so that when you import your images, they are going to add a folder name, file name, IPTC metadata, which I'll talk about in a sec, keywording, I'll talk about that in a sec, and then you end up exporting it. And then once you finish that job, you get the finished job and put it on your archive. So now this is a folder structure that works well with Lightroom. So I build a parent folder. I'll show you a little video in a sec. I build a parent folder, and then within that, I build a catalog. So some people might have one catalog and they just keep dumping images in it. It's not often the most efficient way to do it. But so like if I'm shooting a sporting event, I might have like 5,000 images. I don't want 5,000 images floating around. I have one job which goes into this catalog. So I've got the parent folder, catalog, I have a raw in folder, and then exports for print and web. Now let's just watch this little video. we are starting to build the parent folder on the desktop. So, and the way that I structure it is date reverse with the job title. So this one was Barrel Classic Bike Race. So I've already got now having things in date reverse means that you're never going to have the same folder or file being the same. If you're just shooting cars for the rest of your life, you're still not gonna get a file clash. Okay, so then I build a catalog and create, then Lightroom disappears for a sec and then reboots. And then I start my import process. So access my card. Now I'm just going to import a few images here. So I open standard for build preview, custom name sequence. I change the custom text, but what I do is I've copy pasted the original parent folder name, and then I'm just pasting it again and again and again at speed of the process. Now, when I put the custom text in, I put by my name. So the reason why I do that is when you export the images or other people see the images, they know who shot it. I've got other commercial work from other people who go, oh, I've seen your photographs. I go, what do you mean? I go, oh, I've seen the photograph and looked at the file name, saw your name. That's how I contacted you. So don't be like professionals that send stuff to capture them. It's just image 123, no metadata, no file name. We don't know who really owns it. Okay, so we've done that, and by starting on 1001, then we add the metadata, which I'll talk about in a sec. I'll add keywords. So overall here, I'll add keywords like cycling, Barrel Classic, you know, could put Southern Highlands, whatever you want to put. But for now, I'll put Barrel Classic 2025. And then I create the new folder. And guess where? The parent folder that's on the desktop. That's where I paste that in. Then I add raw in. So now I've got cat catalog, the raw in. I make sure it goes into one folder. I don't like that date thing with nothing on it. I'm selecting the images. As I said, normally I just import them all. Then import. Now the thing is, you can do this in under 2 minutes. And a lot of photographers might import the images into a folder, and then later I'll add the metadata later. Oh, I'll change the file name. They do all that stuff later. This system works because within 2 minutes, you've got your keywords, your metadata, all your file names, all correct for the foreseeable future. Okay, so this will be in the PDF. So this is my post-production workflow. So just say I've shot a wedding, don't really want to lose someone's wedding photos. There's no reshoots for weddings. But I get all my images and I just dump them onto a cheap 4 terabyte hard drive, just safety save, I call them. And then I create a catalog on the desktop on my computer because it's a SSD, it's very fast. Then I import the images into catalog like I just showed you. I change the file name and the job title with my name. I add that metadata, add the keywords, cull using the star rating system. Then what I'll often do is I'll create another folder called 0 star, and then all the 0 stars, all the rejects from people blinking or whatever, just dump them in there. And I develop and grade, export the images and send to the client. Then usually I'll delete the 0 images. Now, after that whole system, so this might look like a lot of work, but you can punch out this work an hour, 2 hours easily. Then I'm going to get that job and then put it on my archive. So it's off my computer. So as I said, it's backing up to 2 hard drives. You know, I might leave it on my desktop for a little while and then I'll send it to my other B station on another computer if need be. So folder naming, that's that date reverse system that works. So, for example, there's Pelican Blue Mountains. 10 years time will be like Pelican Blue. I know what that job is. Now, the thing is, in that shoot, I might have taken some personal photos of this and that, whatever. I can still search in that folder and in the whole archive. So I don't have to get the personal photographs and break them into something else. And I'll show you that soon. So the file naming, it follows the same convention. So it's the same as the folder name, but except by my name. What are the keywords? So they're descriptive terms or tags you apply to an image to make it more searchable and easily retrievable later. Be simple as someone's name, object, or location. And like metadata, I apply it when I import the images. IPTC metadata. So you have metadata from your camera, and then you have IPTC metadata that you apply when you import it. Now, this is a whole thing in itself, but in Lightroom or Photo Mechanic or even Photoshop, you can alter your metadata. So that will be things like your name, website, who the photograph's of. So it's basically the text that follows around that image for the rest of its life. This is why you have a preset and it's already ready to go. Or you just press a button, boom, metadata. So this is how metadata will appear. Whether it's in Bridge, Lightroom, Photoshop, Capture One, or Photo Mechanic, they'll all read metadata the same. Now, this next slide, this will be in the PDF, so it just helps break down what that, the right-hand column, all the settings. So that's all kind of automated. Now, this is the other trick. So once you've got your job, let's put this on the NAS. So you're archiving it. Now, this is important. So Lightroom doesn't allow you to have a catalog on a NAS. So you have to have the catalog on the catalog folder on your computer or an SSD or direct drive. And then you have the folders on the NAS. So creating the archive, so you can create a folder or catalog and then put it on your desktop or wherever you want on your computer. And then you use the import from another catalog. So you've already got that job on your desktop. And then when you import from another catalog, you direct it to store it on your NAS. So you check the boxes, import negatives, and then save to archive master photo library on the NAS. And so like what I'm saying here is I've got 2 hard drives in my NAS. If you had a 4-bay, you'd have double the storage on that with mirrored. But this is how you do it. So let's have a look at this. Okay. So here I'm going, File, Catalog Settings. Now I'm going to automatically write changes to XMP. So that's another file. It follows the photograph around with all your Lightroom settings. I like to keep that. They're very tiny files, like 6 kilobytes. I can afford the storage space. So then I'm going to go File, Import from another catalog. So you can see that I'm in my master archive catalog, which is on my desktop. Now this other job, the Barrel Classic that I'm using as an example, that's also on my desktop. And I just go to where the catalog was and I click on that catalog. So I'm importing from another catalog. And now where do I want to store it? I'm going to store them on my archive, which is the NAS. I just click on that. And I make sure that that's checked, and then I just go import. So that imports them onto the NAS. Now, this is, I said, it's just testing. So I can just open these images on the NAS, and I can, all the changes from the job, as you can see, are in that develop panel, but I can still just go and make changes on the images on the NAS now. Now, if I want to search the images, and you can see that I've already got in the left-hand column my photo archive. Now, if I click on that top level photo archive, I can just go to grid, and I took some photographs of some caravans on the way down to Snowy Mountain. Okay, well, that's my caravan. Oh, there's some cool cockatoos that I saw down there. That's them. So imagine having something like this that's 10 years old, and you just want to find that caravan picture again. Or you type in this caravan, boom, it appears. There's no searching through folders. I don't have to go, I've been down to the Snowy Mountains 3 times. Which trip was that I took the photograph of the caravan? So I don't need to do that. One trick that I have is archiving and backing up the catalog. So guess where I'm going to back up my catalog? I'm going to back it up to the NAS. So the catalog's on the computer, but I'm also backing it up into the NAS. So that's very easy. You just set it up. Catalog settings. Every time Lightroom exits, I've exited. Look, it's going to back up that catalog onto the NAS. Boom. So now I've got the catalog in 2 places. If anything goes wrong with my computer, or I want to put the catalog on another computer, I just can take it from there. Now, the thing is, you don't have to use Lightroom. You could also just use Bridge. So same deal. I'm clicking on my photo archive here, and I'm going to go up to search, and I'm going to click in there, and I'm going to put cockatoos in, archive, and boom, they appear again. This is that thing. This is why keywords are good. Now, you could also use in Lightroom, they've got faces. So you can identify faces. So if you want to look up your partner or your kids or whoever, your friends, you just type in their name and boom, they appear. So it's pretty amazing. So I'll try to wrap this up quickly. We're nearly done. So the best practices using a NAS with Lightroom: store your catalog locally on your hard drive, and then store your photos on the NAS by using import from another catalog. There is another option. What you can do is you can just get that whole job and then get the whole job with the parent folder and put it on the NAS, but then you have to import or add the images again into that catalog. So there's 2 ways you can do it. Then you can back up your catalog to the NAS so it's safe in your personal cloud.
And if we've got at the moment, and that is, a lot of people will probably think that, look, if I get a 2-bay NAS, I think you've got a 2-bay NAS, haven't you, Tim?
Yes.
And you probably think to yourself, that's all I need, but it's actually fairly inefficient. As an example, if you were to take 2 4-bay NASs, take a 2-bay NAS and put 2 4-terabyte drives into them. So you've got 2 4-terabyte drives and a 2-bay NAS, you're going to get 4 terabytes worth of storage. If you actually go out though and get yourself a 4-bay NAS and put in 4 4-terabyte drives, you actually get 12 terabytes of storage plus 1 drive of redundancy. It doesn't mirror the 2 drives like it does on the 2-bay. It actually, RAID technology is really clever. And so, yes, it needs 1 donor drive, but every other drive that you add onto it is a plus on storage. So, if you've got 16 terabytes of drive there, you're not getting 8 terabytes of storage in using Synology hybrid RAID, you're actually getting 12 terabytes of storage. And if you go to a 5-bay drive and you put in 5 4-terabyte drives, yes, you have got 20 terabytes of storage there. Using RAID, you'll get 16 terabytes that's usable. And that's why it's really practical to actually go for a larger bay RAID system, a NAS system, and to be using RAID, Synology hybrid RAID. So it's a good way of going.
Okay, thanks for that, Anthony. I'm just going to go through some of the Q&A questions. Apologies, I know, thanks, Dave. Apology, I know this focused on storage, but do catalogs work with Lightroom CC, or they just call it Lightroom? Um, I learned quite a lot about what they just call Lightroom now. Now, I like it as a product. I've actually interviewed like the head guy that runs Lightroom, and I am quite impressed with it. Now, the problem is it doesn't have the same functionality as Lightroom Classic. If you're shooting a wedding or events, or it's your job, it's much quicker, and to have all your images on your computer and then backing up that way, it's just you can copy paste all your settings really quickly. Lightroom is like, it's for beginners, but it's still a good product. I like how it works with your phone, stuff like that. DaVinci Resolve. So I also do video editing, and I kind of use the same system with the folders and with the file names, folder names, stuff like that. It carries on, date reverse. Can you mix SSD with HDD hard drives in the bay? Yes, you can, can't you, Anthony?
I think you can.
Yep.
I'm not exactly sure about doing it, but do remember that you can put SSDs underneath your 925 to actually help with the buffering. And yeah, I think that putting SSDs in might be practical for some people who have got really high flow, high data flow rates, like videographers. But I think for most photographers, I don't think you'll ever need it. I've had no problems. I think the capacity you get on a good hard drive is compared to SSD as well. I mean, SSD per terabyte is very expensive.
Mm, mm. Do you need Ethernet cable, or can Wi-Fi be used? So I've used both, Anthony.
You do need an Ethernet cable to connect from your NAS to your router, but then you can actually connect wirelessly to your router, so long as it's a wireless router and you're on the network. Yes, you can connect to your from your laptop to your NAS wirelessly. I have my main computer, which is an Apple Mac Studio, on my desk, and that is connected to my router using Ethernet. That will give you better data rates for sure.
Mm. Yeah, so I've done the same. I've just connected it to the router. I've also connected it to my Mac. It both works. I find the cable straight to the Mac can I think it's a bit faster, isn't it, Anthony?
Over the Ethernet is much faster, I think, than going wirelessly. Yes.
Correct. Yeah. But like I'm not using my NAS. You can use your NAS as your main storage. Sure, you can do that. But I'm using my computer and then using my NAS for my archive system. That's what I use it for.
As an interesting aside, for those people who are more business orientated, I actually keep all my jobs on my local system until I've seen the invoice come through from that client, and then I archive everything up to my NASs and that's just my new accounting system because of it just makes it a lot easier to make sure you don't miss out on invoicing and payments.
Mm. Okay, Maria Michael asked, can the NAS be accessed from overseas anywhere on the planet with an internet connection?
Yes, it can.
Yep, and NAS system, same for Mac or for Windows.
Can I just
Uh,
qualify that though, Tim?
mm,
I think people probably have a bit of a false expectation as to, they're probably thinking that they're going to go on safari in Africa and then every night they're going to be downloading every photo that they've taken to their NAS. It is quite a slow system, particularly if you've got a dodgy, 4G connection that you're working to or anything like that. So I find it good for kind of like, uploading your hero content to your NAS, but don't try and get home every night from your trip in Iceland and download everything to your NAS back in Melbourne because it's not going to work.
well, Iceland has really good internet. It's way better than
Africa.
well, I can't speak for the whole of Africa. It's a very big place, but like I have I've uploaded like jobs onto my NAS, and I said mine's not the top of the line NAS, and like one whole job with like 10 gig was like a few minutes.
Mm,
Uh,
that's all right.
that's not a big wait,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's not. So for me, like a few minutes to back all my work up is worth it.
Mm,
So yeah, it does, but as Anthony was saying, it does depend on if you've got 56K modem, you'll be there for about 20 years uploading that stuff.
yeah. When you're traveling, just take one of these little SSDs with you as well. I think they're the good way of going, to be honest. One or two of them.
Now, another question. Your earlier slides have been NAS being arguably more secure or less likely to be compromised. Can you please explain a little how you keep it secure when it's exposed to the internet? Beyond a password, blah, blah, blah. Any network security recommendations from your experience? I would not use NAS and simply rely on passwords. So for a start, now it's not my area of expertise, but I mean, they have to know that you've got a NAS, don't they?
Well, I think the fun part about it is that Synology is pretty good at security. And if you are trying to log in remotely, you're going to go to Quick Connect. You're going to put in the identifier name that you've given to your NAS so that you can access it using Synology's Quick Connect system. And if it doesn't recognize the IP address as a new user or anything like that, Synology will send you an email saying, hang on, somebody's trying to access your Quick Connect. And that is where, and it will come to your email address. That's where you go to say, hey, that's me. Yes, please let me in the door. You are going to use, once you've gone to Quick Connect, you're going to have to use your username. So people are going to have to know that. And then you're going to have the password. And this is where I really, really recommend that you use a strong password. So, and if you do all that properly, and if you've gone to two-factor authentication, you should be pretty safe. The only thing I would suggest with two-factor authentication is if you're likely to be using it while you're traveling, the fun thing is, and you're the type of person that uses a different mobile number when you're overseas, just remember two-factor authentication might actually go to your mobile number here in Australia instead of your mobile number in Croatia. So that just might be a bit of a problem for you. So just be smart about that one. But yeah, look, I haven't had any problems with Synology. I've been using it for 10 years. My NASs have been exposed to the internet all that long. And I just use really big, long passwords. I use a sentence. I use something like my dad used to drive a 1957 Javelin for fun. And, good luck trying to guess that, So,
Just
just
tell us what it is, so we don't have to.
damn.
Uh,
Sorry about that, guys. Forget
yeah,
that one.
yeah.
But that's the sort of passwords you can use. Something that you can remember. Use upper and lowercase in it, but don't use little passwords. Don't use the same password that you use for everything else in life.
1, 2, 3.
Don't use that. Yeah.
Or your dog. Everyone uses their dog.
Yeah,
Everyone knows.
don't use your dog. Get really clever about it, okay? So that would be my advice, and I think you'll be safe. I think the thing with the NAS, it's like walking down the street and seeing a bank. Yes, you can see it's there, but your chances of getting into it are actually quite remote unless you've got the key.
Okay, thanks for that. Annette, that's very interesting. I have 10 years of work on 6 external drives. Nightmare. Yes, it is. I'm concerned about you. Do you pop these into the NAS or just start from now? I would not. So, look, if you can help me out here, Anthony, but like if I had a hard drive that's 10 years old, I'd be thinking that could die any minute. I would be getting new hard drives. I would start it all and then I'd start just importing them onto your new NAS. That's what I would be doing. Ethernet connected straight to the Mac in like I'm not an expert, but I think that it's faster than having your now the thing is I can have my NAS connected to the computer and then upload stuff quickly and then I can just reattach it to where my router is and then do it that way. So
I've got to say, it would almost have been a really good COVID project. These are some of my older hard drives, and you literally just have to go through. The one thing you don't want to start doing is just randomly uploading all your old external hard drives up to your new NAS, only to discover that you have duplicated a whole pile of work. That's going to become a bit redundant because it's only going to create just as much material for you to go through later on. So I would say if you're disciplined enough, just spend a few weekends just looking at your drives and just going, okay, I know what that job is, I know what that holiday is, and get structured about how you use it. Look at the metadata on the photos and say, okay, this photograph was taken in 2015. So I know I'm going to put it in my personal photos for 2015. Here's a chance to do a bit of housekeeping and structure your work.
Thanks for that. And do all hard drives need to be the same size as if it's on SHR? No, but if isn't it like I was reading SHR you can put different sizes together? I mean, ideally they're the same size.
If you don't want to use,
they should be, but
if you don't want to use RAID, and literally you can just go and buy yourself a NAS like this and put in, for example, this is a 4-bay, so you could put in, you know, 2 4-terabyte drives and an 8-terabyte and even a 16-terabyte and just treat it as one dumb drive. But it would be a little bit like using a sports car to kind of like go to the supermarket, you know, doing 30 kilometers an hour. It's a wasted opportunity. So to use Cybrid, any RAID system, to get the best effect out of it, you need to buy some drives that are all exactly the same size. If you buy a larger drive, the RAID array will only use the capacity of the smallest drive on that system. So as an example, if you bought a 12-terabyte drive and stuffed it in with 3 4-terabyte drives, the RAID system will only use 4 terabytes of that 12-terabyte drive. You're going to have 8 terabytes sitting there doing nothing.
Sorry to interrupt you. Jacqueline, are you there? Could you fill us in with this if you know? Do all hard drives need to be the same size? Because you'll need to unmute yourself if you can, Jacqueline. But
hi everyone. Sorry, can you hear me, Tim?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
All right. Okay, great. Hi.
Need to be the same size.
So if you're using the Synology Hybrid RAID SHR, as Anthony just mentioned earlier, you don't need to use the same hard drive sizes, but yes, we would recommend going with the same size because again, if you're using RAID, like RAID 5 or RAID 6, then yes, it would be the smallest capacity of your drives, like Anthony just explained earlier. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see.
Just going back to just a point though, just don't forget people that if you are just feeling like you don't want to spend a lot of money at once, you can quite literally buy like a 4-bay or even a 5-bay system and just put drives into the first 2 using Synology Hybrid RAID just to get yourself going. I'd buy 2, you know, depending on how big your collection of photos is, but maybe 2 8-terabyte drives. Leave these bays empty. Once you start filling up these 2, and you will get, using RAID, only 8 terabytes of data into here before it starts getting a bit full, put in another drive, and suddenly you will have double the capacity. You'll have 16 terabytes. And when you put in your 4th drive, suddenly you're actually going to have 24 terabytes of storage. So start small, work your way up, but start with 2 drives.
Dallas, can I have 2 NASs, one for regular work and one for archive? So sure. You know, like and Anthony's got 2, I've got 2. That's fine. Let's see. Hi Tim, we live in far FNQ. I'll guess that's far north Queensland, where it's very humid and hot through summer. We have had friends with the RAID systems fail due to the climate. How robust is the NAS in this climate condition? Now, I can feel that because I've had students at TAFE and they live next to a lake in the Central Coast, and like everything gets mold on it. So like, it doesn't matter whether it's, you know, a NAS or camera lenses and stuff. You've got to come up with a system to have a dehumidifier somewhere. So you can buy cabinets that are dehumidifier cabinets. That's the answer to your friend's problem. If it is really that humid, it's not just a NAS that's not going to work. It's like your camera will get mold. Your negatives will get mold. Just
As a
just
quiet
like
suggestion, though, Tim, as a quiet suggestion, don't forget that being network attached storage, you might have the opportunity, depending on what your situation is, to actually store your NAS at the office where they've got 24/7 air conditioning.
very good. Yeah, great answer. Or just store it down in Tasmania where it's very cold and humid. I mean, very unhumid, I should say.
Just one of the more awkward situations I'll raise with the NAS, though, I did have a neighbor a while ago suggest to me that I should store one of his NASs at my house, and I could store one of my NASs at his house, and we connect everything with a microwave link so that we've got data off-site. And I just find that a wee bit of an awkward situation because you just have to be really careful about what that other person has got on their NAS storage-wise, So I just don't want to discover that, yes, I'm looking after somebody else's NAS, and oops, it's got dodgy material.
Yeah. Right. So that's interesting because I have heard that with in my own research is like some businesses will also have a NAS at each other's business just in case. So there's a disaster, like a fire hits their office, it's all backed up on another NAS in someone else's office. And the chances of happening to both places is so slim. So that's an interesting concept there. It's like you're looking after someone else's work. Let's see if any other questions. We'll answer questions for another 3 minutes, but then it's time for me to get some dinner. Let's see, do the workflows function. In case you lose your password, how do you recover your data? Just write, sorry, we've answered that before. Get a tattoo under your arm.
Going on to that one, I think there is a password recovery method within the Synology system, particularly if you've got a Synology account. Just reminder though, what we talked about before, it did say if you, it gives you the option to use encryption on your drive, and unless you're kind of like, looking after the Epstein files or the photos that Trump doesn't want you to see, or, like Barnaby Joyce, awkward moments, anything like that, don't put encryption in. Don't use the encryption because that is the one where down the track, if you do lose that key in 10 years or 20 years time, you are going to have a box that looks something like this that is totally useless to you. So just be really careful with that option there.
This is a good question by Tiffany. Thank you for a wonderful presentation. I'll take any positive feedback anyone throws at me. Thank you very much for that. Does the system need to be powered on at all times? Is it possible to turn on and off when in use? You can. Like, I can turn off my NAS system and whatever, but otherwise, I'll leave it on. Like on the odd occasion, I'll hear it boot up. But they are, and this is the thing about the hard drives that you use. You should be thinking about getting the best quality hard drives because they're going to last longer.
I've got two NASs. I do have two NASs, and one of them stays on all the time, in part because I've got my security cameras running with that. And also that same particular NAS has got client photos that they themselves can access. So they go to my website, and if you go to my website, you'll see there's something there marked client files. You go down, you click on one of those folders in my client files. It'll ask you for the password. If you've got that password, you can access those photos. So that's a 24/7 offering to my client base as well. So that NAS is constantly running, but my second NAS, I tend to turn it on about once a month when I go to do my archiving. And also if I go away for a couple of weeks holiday, I put that NAS in a little bag and I trot it down the street to a security company that I've got a good little relationship with, and they just hide it out the back somewhere, and they look after that NAS just in case my house gets burnt down. So
because they've got guns there, right? Isn't that right?
that security company is they're gunned up to protect my NAS. They are, yes.
Yeah. So yes, you can turn it off, disconnect it like any normal hard drive, and then just reconnect it when you want, and everything's still going to be there. So you do have that best of both worlds scenario. So I think that's it. We're gonna go to dinner, and we hope that you found this informative, and we hope to hear less stories about photographers losing all their work. We hope to see more filing systems and images that are properly titled with your names in the future. And you never know, we might be doing another webinar in the near future, and we hope to see you then. So
let's see if we get asked back.
okay, so thanks so much, Anthony. I'll chat with you soon.
Thank you, everybody.
A good night for now, guys. Have fun till next time.